how are you, Chris?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm great. Well, thanks for jumping on this and doing this interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, great. Well, we've got a lot of different folks who are listening to this call, and I wanted to just quickly give you an opportunity to tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and some of your experience.
Okay, so I'm Chris Mullins, a phone sales doctor, and with Intake Academy. And what we do is we monitor your prospective client phone calls by doing mystery calling initially, and then we have a system in place where we record your calls, and we have a team of certified coaches that will listen to either your mystery calls or your recorded phone calls, your prospect calls, the calls that you're spending hundreds and thousands and some of us even millions of dollars on marketing. We'll listen to make sure that those calls are being converted into appointments, and then we'll coach and train and teach your team new habits and behaviors on how to fix the problem areas that we identify with our Intake Academy system and scripting.
That's great. Okay, so really the purpose of this call is we want to give listeners an opportunity to actually experience what it's like to go through a coaching program, what it's like to actually listen into a real call, and how to coach an intake call. Because what we find is that, again, one of the biggest challenges that law firms have is they're spending all this money on marketing and advertising, but the conversion, meaning that critical point of contact when someone picks up the phone for the first time and is calling an attorney, the experience that they have is absolutely critical. And most attorneys think they do a great job of intake. And what we find is that actually there's tremendous opportunity to improve conversion and to improve the experience that prospective clients have on the initial phone call. So I'm really excited to go through this with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun, and the good news is, it can be fixed, and you're absolutely not alone. You just need to dive in and get started.
Okay, so should we just go ahead and do an actual phone call? And again, so for the listeners, what we've done is we've edited this audio. This has been a pre-recorded session that we've actually done. And so they're not going to have any, confidential information that's going to be shared here. But this is an actual phone call that you're going to share with us?
Yeah, it's an actual prospect phone call from one of our Intake Academy clients, one of our law firms. And we did edit it out so that we wouldn't be able to identify. And so it might sound a little funny once in a while. You'll hear like a quick pause, and you'll wonder what that is, and that's just us editing out any identification, but you'll definitely see exactly how to handle an intake call through Ryan's and my critique.
All right, let's get started.
All right. So what I'm going to do, Ryan, is you're also not going to be Ryan, but you're going to be my tech guy. And,
okay.
So I'm going to start the recording, and then I'm going to stop and ask you if you can hear it. I just want to make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, everybody. Get your pens and paper ready. Here we go.
Office, this is Henry. I direct your call.
Yes, I've been out of work for the last...
Can you hear that okay?
I can.
All right, here we go. Pay close attention and take notes.
18 months due to CMT, and I need to file for Social Security disability due to Charcot-Marie-Tooth disorder, and I wanted to file for Social Security disability.
Okay. Is it something that your doctors are telling you is going to keep you out of work?
Yes.
Okay. And you do treat regularly with a doctor? Do you have a primary care doctor?
I do, and I've been going to physical therapy for 2 years.
Okay. What is your first and last name?
Jennifer. And the last name is...
All right. And how did you hear about our office?
I just did a Google search by zip code.
Okay. All right. Basically, with Social Security Disability, there's two different programs. One is based on work credits, how much you've worked and paid in the last 10 years, and the other is based on income. So I'll just screen you for both of those, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Your disabilities will qualify you if you're treating, but it's not necessarily just your disabilities. You have to meet guidelines first before we can sign you up, or before Social Security will allow you to sign up.
Okay.
Okay. Now, where are you located? What city and zip code are you in?
I'm in, my zip is...
Okay. And what phone number would you like to put on file? Okay, and your date of birth?
2/23/75.
All right, and you said, when did you say was the last time that you worked?
It's been about 18 months, almost 2 years.
So you think you last worked in 2011?
It was more like 2010.
So, Ryan, I just wanted to point out a couple of quick things before we continue.
Okay.
Just a couple of items. First off, the person taking the call, she sounds very kind and professional. But I mean, we're a little bit more than 3 minutes into the call, and so what we want to do differently is, we want to build a relationship with the person. So far, this is what I call license and registration. And what that means is we're just doing what we were taught to do. We're asking our intake screening questions. We're just going down the list and asking. And that's what we were taught to do, but going forward, what we want to do differently is we want to ask them in a different way and do what I call singing, so that we don't sound like we're asking survey questions and license and registration. But then the other is, before you even get into your intake screening process, you want to welcome them to your practice. We did ask their name, but you want to use their name in conversation. You want to make sure that you get their number that they're calling from in case you get disconnected. You want to do what we call a wow welcome. You want to do some relationship building and empathy and just, be human with them before you automatically go into question answer. And then the other quick note too is, and then we'll go on, is when you have pauses while you're talking on the phone, you're putting information into your system. That's normal. That makes sense. But here's what I suggest you do, so the experience is much better for everyone, especially the prospective client and even your established clients, is just tell them what you're doing. Because when you pause and you don't say anything, they don't know what you're doing, and sometimes they don't even know if you're there. So you don't have to worry about being able to do small talk, because that's not easy to do. Just say, Jennifer, I am typing in your information, or I am correcting whatever it is you're doing. Just tell them what you're doing, and this is all about the experience. The big thing I'm going to remind you of, and you'll hear it again, is you folks are not really in the legal business as much as you are in the relationship and healing business. So you're much more in the relationship and healing business than you are in the legal business. Did you want to say anything, Ryan, or did you want me to continue on?
Well, I think, I agree with you on 100% of these points. I noticed the exact same thing. Really, this is the person who's taking the call is doing a great job of basically just doing their job. But I don't get any sense of that they're actually engaging with this caller at a deeper level other than the required questions that they have to go through. So I would say the exact same thing in terms of, I think some of these things could be polished up with just some basic techniques and scripting if they were going to follow this process, which we'll talk about later on throughout this call.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me continue. Here we go.
Okay, and how long did you have that job?
3 years.
Okay, and before that?
I was just a stay-at-home mom.
Okay, so you think you've worked about 3 years of the last 10?
Yes.
Okay.
So just a quick thing I want to throw into everybody. Remember this, write this down. Telephones are amplifiers. Okay, telephones are amplifiers. They can pick up everything. So this intake specialist on the phone, she just kind of went, okay. Now, we don't know what that meant, but the thing is, the person that she's on the phone with, the prospective client, they're not going to take that as positive. They can translate that into, okay, I'm just another call, or she's tired, or I'm not important. You might not mean it or feel it in your heart, but this is what people feel and think on the other end. So I just wanted to mention that. So here we go.
Now, do you have any personal income from anything right now?
Just my husband.
Okay. Is that from him working?
Yes.
And what does he bring in gross per month?
About 1,000.
Okay, so he only brings in, is that before taxes he brings in around 1,000 a month?
That's after.
Okay, so do you know what he makes per hour? Gross is before taxes.
I don't know how much he makes per hour.
Okay. Do you all have food stamps, medical cards?
None of that.
Have you applied for it?
I'm in the process of doing it now.
Okay. And did you want to put anything else on file besides the Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease? Did you have anything else to add?
No, that's all I have is I'm dealing with that. That's the only medical issue I have.
Okay. You said you're treating with a family doctor, correct?
Yes.
I want everybody to pay very close attention to this call, okay? Because I'm gonna talk about something at the end, and I'm just wondering if anybody else picked it up, okay?
Then I see I've been seeing a physical therapist for the past 2 years.
Okay. Alrighty. You will be eligible for that SSI program. Basically, with the other program, you need to have worked a majority of the last 10 years and paid into Social Security. And since you only worked about 3 of the last 10, you won't be eligible for that program. But you'll be eligible for that income-based program. What you have to do with that, and that's SSI, what you have to do with that is you actually have to apply initially through the Social Security office. And then once that application's put through, we can pick you up as a client from there. But they require you to file with them first. What I can do, if you'd like to do that now, I can transfer you through to Social Security. They can give you your appointment time, and then you can call me back with that.
Okay. Okay. So you're going to transfer me to the Social Security office, and then I can just call you back?
Yes, we can't call with you, so you'll have to give us a call back.
Okay.
With that, then you need to set up an SSI appointment. And when you get that date and time, just call us back with that.
Okay.
Did you have any questions?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Give me just a moment. I'll transfer you through, okay?
Okay. Just one more thing.
Okay. So, Ryan, that's the end of the call. They get transferred through, and then what happens is the call ends up getting dropped because they're waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, so what did you think?
Well, I think that that this was a pretty standard call, meaning this is the type of experience that most callers have when they come in. So of all the phone calls intakes that I've heard, this is one of them. So meaning there's nothing in here that really I'm going, wow, this sets it apart. This differentiates this firm from all the other firms that are out there. There are definitely things that could be improved in terms of the caller experience. I think my overall reaction to this is that the person who's doing the intake on this goes through so many of these phone calls on a daily basis that they have become jaded and insensitive to some extent, and rightfully so. This is no fault of the intake specialist. But what's happening is there's a blind spot there. So this person isn't aware of how they're coming across on the phone and just having a real conversation with the person. Granted, doing it in a structured way where they still maintain control of that phone call and they can quickly dispatch the caller as needed. That's my overall impression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to reiterate that the individual handling the call, the intake specialist, they're only doing what they were taught to do and what they were trained to do. Okay, so we've all got to realize that and understand that we want to start over and give them exceptional coaching and training as long as it's supported by the attorneys. Okay, so the attorneys top down have to believe that it's time for a new sales culture and it's time to handle calls differently. And the main thing that you really want to keep top of mind is the amount of money you're spending just to get one prospect to call you. So you want to make sure that one of two things happens on those calls, that we're either closing the deal as it pertains to our firm, or we're making sure that we have complete contact information, email and phone, and we keep them in our marketing funnel, and we send them, a book, free book or free reports, something exceptional that they're going to want to say, yes, I want that. That way you can keep in front of them. But setting that aside, this call definitely is what I call license and registration. When you go through the intake process, you want to check in with the person you're speaking to. Ask them if they're okay. Say you're doing a great job. Do you need a break? Because this takes a long time. I only have a couple more questions. My next question may be a difficult question, but I do have to ask it. Things like that during the intake process. And I don't know if everybody caught up with this or not and heard it, but you have to have your listening ears on. Remember, you're in the relationship and the healing business. You're not in the survey business, okay? This particular prospective client, if you really heard them, they sounded distressed. They sounded like they were in pain. They sounded like they were having a really difficult time being on the call. And so you don't want to act like you don't hear that. You want to respond to them and just say something like, Are you okay, Jennifer? Do you need a break? You sound like you might be a little bit uncomfortable. I might be misreading you, but I just want to check in. That's what you want to do. You need to be human and be real and be there, be now on the call with that person. Because if you don't, first off, isn't that the business you're in? Aren't you in the business of helping people? And the other is a prospective client will, I guarantee you, call, and you want to write this down, 3 to 5 of your competitors. So when a prospective client is finally ready to sit down and call you, they've been thinking about it for days, weeks, months, and years. So when they finally call you, this is a big deal. They're like hyper-qualified. They're ready for the next step, or they never would have called you. But what they did do before they called you is they wrote down on a piece of paper 3 to 5 law firms that they've accumulated over a period of time. And they didn't say to themselves, I'm going to call your law firm. They said, I'm going to call a law firm. And if you do marketing, you're on the list. So great. But when they call you, no matter what the experience is like this call here, when this prospect is done, no matter what happens, they are going to call the next one on their list. They're going to do their due diligence. And my point in saying that is a couple of things. Number one, they're going to call 3 or 4 or 5 prospects in a row, and you're one of them. You need to stand out. You need to be different. You can't sound like all the other law firms in a row. And this call sounds just like every law firm. And you can't do that. If you sound like that law firm, then you're no different. There's nothing special. There's no way you're going to ever be able to help this person. And so when they make those phone calls to all the law firms, and they all sound the same, putting people on hold or robotic or license and registration, no emotions, no empathy, all of that stuff, then they're going to hang up, and then here's how they're going to make their buying decision. Here's how they're going to make their decision on which firm they'll follow through with. They're going to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's how they pick. Unless the call they had with your office, with your intake specialist, with the hero of your intake team, unless they have that, if they can have that experience be like the Ritz-Carlton and using the Intake Academy scripting system, welcoming them to the practice, using their name in conversation, telling them that they made the right decision when they called, finding out what their emotional pain is, what is it that prompted them to call finally today, holding their hand in a compassionate, empathetic way through the intake process, having listening ears on and hearing how they sound and what they say, and be willing to stop and be there with them at that particular moment and respond to them, and then going ahead and assuming the sale, assuming it's going to happen. And then, of course, having your wow closing. So you can fix this. It can be done. But, overall the call was no different than any other law firm, and it's really just, a chance if you win. So really, bottom line is think about the amount of money you're spending and think about the kind of law firm you really want to be. Anything else from you, Ryan?
Yeah, I want to back up and I want to ask you a couple of questions about this one. So in terms of, and this is actually a broader question, in terms of staff members and folks who are taking calls, in this particular instance, is this something that could be trained, or is this like a personal skills issue, or is it a combination of both in your experience?
In my experience, yes. Here's how I'll answer it. If you have the right people on your team, which all of you already know, if you do, you don't. You already know that. So if you have the right people already on your team, then yes, you can teach them to do this. Assuming that they have a good voice and they can speak clear English and that sort of thing. But in other words, if you have the right folks, attitude-wise, behavior-wise, they follow through, they do what you ask them to do, enthusiastic, all of that. So if you have the right team, yes, you can teach the right people how to do this. But if you have folks in your team that already aren't the right people, or you're already having challenges with that you haven't fixed and you let sit, no. It's going to be an uphill battle. So in your experience,
if you have an intake specialist who is resistant to this type of training or this type of coaching, is it out of fear of I've done it my way for all these years and this is just the way that I do it, or do they feel like they don't have enough confidence to be able to execute the skill set?
Well, it's a couple of things. In fairness to them, they weren't hired to have this kind of approach. They weren't trained and coached to do it this way. So that's the first thing. The second thing, usually, here's what really happens is we, the business owners, the partners, the attorneys, don't usually let our team know the right way or with advance notice and complete explanation about the wonderful new training program that they're going to do. We kind of usually just throw it at them and say just do it or leave. So that causes a problem. And then you also have the people that have been there 10, 20, 30 years, men and women that have never been told in their mind that they need to do things differently. And so they personally will take it like an attack, like they're doing something wrong. And all people in all businesses, if it's not communicated right, they're going to feel like, this is the calm before the storm. They must want to get rid of me. So there's fear there too. But a lot of it has to do with how you currently run your business. The beautiful thing about this program and and folks trying to learn something new and different is it will bring out all of those emotions, and you will be able to, attack them straight on, but you'll have the right training and skill set. So you're running into a lot of different things, and, it really, first and foremost, honestly, Ryan, it starts at the top. So the top, the attorneys and the partners have to be fully committed into changing their universe with intake at their practice before their team can do it. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's huge.
What will a significant transition like this do for a firm in the long run? Meaning, what type of results, what type of breakthroughs could a firm have if they were able to really implement this and install it across the board and change their culture?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. I mean, we've worked with law firms that have been able to comfortably say a minimum of 10% improvement in their bottom line. You'll have even better retention with your team because they'll want to stay with you because now there's more communication and training and coaching. You'll have a stronger team because once they get past all the initial concerns and discomfort with having calls critiqued and monitored and played and learning from it and learning new things and scripts, because most people hate the S-word script and the S-word sales, so they don't approach it the right way. But once they get past all of those things, which are normal, you'll have a team that's not only with you longer, but they'll be stronger as individuals and as people. So, staff retention, you'll have an easy, quick start training program that when you get new people on board, you can quickly put them into your system and get them trained, and everybody's on the same page. It's endless. So, your culture will change, your sales culture will change for the better. More internal communication from team member to team member and attorneys, other departments in your firm that probably don't even know everybody that's in your office. You'll know each other more, you'll communicate with each other more, and as far as the dollars that you're spending on marketing, my gosh, you'll have much more control over what's going on, and you'll be able to convert more. And again, some attorneys report at least a 20% improvement in their conversion.
Wow. So how long would it take for a firm, let's say a small to mid-sized firm, and when I say that, meaning they have 5 to 10 intake specialists, team members who are either taking calls, and this includes the reception team, as well as attorneys potentially who are doing intake. How long does a process like this take to go from where they are to where they could be with, improving that lead conversion, doing a better job on the intake? How long does it take to develop this program?
Here's what I've found doing this for really 25 years now. I have found this is a behavior modification program, and what we're trying to do is change habits and behaviors. So if you have the right team, and I want to underscore that, if you have the right team in place, and if you are the right client for our system, the Intake Academy, this is just to give you an idea, meaning that you're the kind of firm that does spend money on marketing and wants to capture everything and wants to build your business on referrals and wants to make the changes and make them now versus just kind of taking your time and doing it. You're an implementer and you execute. So if all of those stars are aligned, then 12 months, 12 months, consecutive months of ongoing monitoring and scripting and training and role-playing and coaching and holding your feet to the fire, you'll be able to see at that time big movement in the needle in your practice. And in some practices sooner than that, but I think that you should commit to at least a 12-month change. That doesn't mean you're not going to enjoy changes along the way, but I would say 12 months of doing everything right that you're asked to do, you have a home run. minimum
great.
of 12 months. I mean, the only thing I want to say, Ryan, is you can't stop. I mean, so you're asking me about moving the needle in the direction that law firms want, 12 months, as far as a good, consistent change. But that doesn't mean that you stop. You got to keep going. So.
Okay. That's great. So we're going to offer folks the ability to have their own mystery call.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about how that would work in terms of, so we can actually go in, we'll do the mystery shop call for their firm, and we will do a debrief like this with them individually if they opt to do this. So tell us how this works.
Yeah, it's really great, and everybody, all you have to do is just use the link below there, and it'll take care of the rest for you. But what will happen is the Intake Academy team will do a mystery call. Some of you call it a ghost call of your intake team playing prospective client. We'll record the call, and we'll have a scheduled telephone consult. Ryan and I will have a scheduled telephone consultation with the attorney. And during that telephone consult with the attorney, we will play for the attorney your mystery call that we did. And so you'll get to hear it. And then we will critique it. We'll critique it together. And Ryan and I will tell you, the attorney, exactly what you need to do specifically to make a change in your practice based on that mystery call. And that's exactly what we're going to do for you.
So folks, this is absolutely free. All you'll need to do is to click on the link below or the link that's listed in here and fill out the form and opt in for it. And then what will happen is we will automatically conduct the mystery call or the ghost call, and then we will schedule a time to do the debrief with you, absolutely free. So if you're interested in doing that and you'd like to take advantage of it, I highly recommend you do it. This is going to be significantly valuable to your practice. It's going to give you new insight into kind of your world and how you can improve. So, Chris, do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I mean, I think that this can be scary for everybody, not just your team, but also the attorneys. I have a lot of strong relationships, as you know, Ryan, with attorneys where they get their own coaching as well. And, not everybody likes change. And then also sometimes we're afraid, okay, well, if we start to unveil how people really sound on the phone, then we're going to have to do something about the folks that we know that we wanted to kind of not work with anymore anyway because they're not appropriate for this department and they need to go in another department. Basically I'm just going to say you've got to accept the fact that it's not going to be easy initially, but you have to do it. If you're going to spend money on marketing, you have to do it. You have to provide ongoing coaching and training to your team. Otherwise, I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever to spend another dollar on marketing. And working with us, you're not alone. We're experts. This is what we do. We're not lawyers, but this is what we do. And you will see a change.
Well, great. Well, this is exciting. I mean, really, the phone part and the conversion part is actually one of the areas that you can have the most tremendous impact on your firm. Mm-hmm. Meaning improving that conversion costs a heck of a lot less money than spending money to generate more leads. So it's really, really exciting, and I hope you all will take advantage of this great opportunity. Chris, thanks for joining us on the call today. I will talk to you later. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
All right. Have fun, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.